firefly season.
Hi everyone, it's Tracy from Temperance Tarot, and it's time for my May deck roundup video. And this month I am going to talk about a few things other than decks. I didn't use many decks this month. I was on the go a lot, and I had a realization, and many of you have had this realization before, and it's not a big deal for you, but it was a bit of a big realization for me that I didn't want to forego living and experiencing things in order to spend time in my card and my tarot and spiritual practice. So this month in May, I had to go to Dallas on a business trip, and it was my beach trip this month. And as much as part of me, particularly during the beach trip, because the Dallas trip wasn't very long, even though I had to prepare for it, and then I had to go, and then I had to come home, and then I had to get, everything unpacked, and anyway. Particularly at the beach, when I would think, I'd like to shut myself in the room for a half an hour and play with my cards, and I'd look out, and I'll show you what my view was from my hotel, so you'll see why. I decided that I would much prefer getting my spiritual nourishment from looking at the ocean or doing something with my mom than with playing with my cards. So I'm striking a balance. I'm finding a balance. I'm finding that I can find spirituality and fulfillment, the kind of fulfillment I've been getting from my cards, in other activities as well, which is progress for me. So yay. I'm happy about that progress. The other thing, I hosted an Instagram challenge this month, but I swear I think I only posted my own challenge about half the days. But in doing that, and I really enjoyed that, and I loved going on Instagram and seeing what everyone was posting, and I wish I'd had more time to comment more or just had more to say about what they were posting, because the people who participated were absolutely, giving me some really spot-on information. Sadie, the lovely lady who was running the Divination Challenges account on Instagram, where you could go and find the divination challenges each month or whenever they're posted, and they'd all be in one place. She decided that she just didn't want that responsibility anymore. So when she announced that she wasn't going to be doing it any longer, and she changed the name of her account to Old Divination Challenges, I went out and grabbed the handle, I suppose you'd call it, it shows my age, my CB handle, the handle of divination.challenges, so that we could keep that up, because I really liked having all of those challenges in one place that I could go look for them every month. And it didn't take me long to get right up to speed. So everything that I've seen, you have to tag at Divination Challenges for me to see it. Unless it's like Lion Hearts or Pure Field Healing, which, I follow them and I see their challenges. But I don't see all of these people's challenges. If you post a challenge on Instagram, make sure to tag me at Divination Challenges, and I will repost it so that they are all in one place and can be seen by everyone. And I will also put a link to that account in the description box below. And that has been a lot of fun, because I never knew how to repost on Instagram, and I had to learn. I had to go get an app, and I had to learn. Okay, so let's move into the decks now. Like I was saying a minute ago, I didn't pull cards as often this month as normal. So I didn't use as many decks as normal. So this will hopefully be a fairly short one this month. Today we have caffeine-free Diet Coke. I used this month the Darkness of Light Tarot. Here's the box. The creator of this deck put some not perfect decks out on his website that he was selling cheaper. And I'd never really been drawn to this deck, but so many people loved it that I thought I would go ahead and try a imperfect copy to see if this was a deck that I would like. And I was actually really surprised at how very much I like this deck. It's not as dark as I thought it was going to be. His use of light and his artwork is just really, really fabulous. And the artwork itself, you know, when you see it on a YouTube video or in a post on Instagram, it looks very photoreal in those images, but it's not. You can definitely tell that these are paintings that he has done, and they are gorgeous. The deck was imperfect, and let me see if I can find the imperfection. I had to edge it in black. I didn't have a choice because one of the cards had a white, it was cut improperly, and it had a bit of white along the bottom that I took a Sharpie to. I'll see if I can find it. This was the obviously imperfect card. You can tell that it has been cut a lot higher right there, and there was a white line down there that I've covered up with the Sharpie, and it did a pretty good job of hiding it. I can see it if I look really hard. But it really doesn't bother me, and I really like this deck. I've used this deck. I'm working through Ethany's Your Tarot Court book, which I've got on my Kindle. And I used this deck for the first exercise in the book, and it was fabulous. It was a fabulous use of the deck. So I really, really like the Darkness of Light. And I don't know that I need a perfect copy. I think this copy does just fine. This is an imperfect copy of the first edition. I do understand that the second edition, the artwork's a little bigger, and I think I would really like that because the paintings are just gorgeous. So this is definitely, I'm gonna put this in rotation. I got a copy of the Revival Art Tarot cards and used this deck this month. This is by Taroko Studios. They make the Victorian Tarot, which I love so much, and you can tell I've already torn the box. I'm going to have to find something else to keep it in. This is an absolutely beautiful deck. I don't think it's collage. I think it's just fine art that has been put into the tarot structure, and it works so well. And it's just so beautiful. And it's that Taroko Studios cardstock that I love so much that bends and shuffles beautifully. The court cards, I think I'm going to use this deck for some of the exercises in the Your Tarot Court book because they're different and really beautiful. Look at that Eight of Swords. Ugh. Some of the paintings look a little dark, but I don't have a problem with that, and I really love this deck. And there's one in particular card. Let me find. This Five of Swords is so unique to me. It screams to me of gossip and how hurtful and petty and vindictive your words can be if you're not careful. So I just love that Five of Swords. All of the aces are these kind of still life scenes where you see the element of the suit and things set about, but no people. I absolutely love this Page of Swords trying to tell the little dog, train the little dog and tell the little dog what to do. I really wish I had some more information about the artwork that was actually used in this deck, because I know we have historical figures in this deck, paintings of kings and queens and things. I just can't put, I know that's one of the kings of England at some point. I can't put my finger on which one it is, but I would absolutely love to know who is in these portraits and paintings. Like, who's this? Who's this guy who thought he was so important he needed to put on armor to have his portrait painted when it's clear that this man is not a fighter? And we'll end on this Page of Cups. Isn't he absolutely adorable? Just adorable. So, yep, the Revival Art, I love it. Another deck that I really loved this month and actually this is the deck I took to the beach with me, is called The Voice of the Ocean Tarot, and it's another fine arts deck because I love me a fine arts deck. It's available on Printer Studio. Yeah, I think it's on Printer Studio. And there are some issues with this deck. It's not perfect. The swords, we have an ace of swords, and then all the rest of them are called spades. And the word strength is misspelled, which that's the second deck I've gotten from either Printer Studio or Make Playing Cards where the word strength specifically was misspelled. But I love the images that were chosen to represent the different cards in this deck. They really work, and they really give me something new to think about with the meaning of that card. So yeah, I really love this, and it's very watery, very, well, called The Voice of the Ocean, it would be. It's just an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous deck. There are a few, like this Ace of Swords. The aces are all, what do you call that thing on the front of a ship? The figurehead on the front of the ship. So the aces are all figureheads on the front of ships. That one looks a little bit like a photograph. I know it can't be, but. And then you have some that look, you know, you've got slightly different art styles, but they all blend together pretty well. There's another one. But yeah, I really, really liked this deck. There are the backs. The only thing that well, other than the two things I've already mentioned that don't really bug me, I don't really have a problem with it, it came with these extra cards. And you have January, Capricorn, Earth Element, Female Energy, Yin. And that's not exactly true, because the zodiac signs don't line up specifically with the months. So if you go to mine, I was born in November, it says Scorpio. I am not a Scorpio, I'm a Sagittarius. So that kind of bugged me a little bit, but they're very pretty. Images of shells and sea life. Very pretty images. So I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do with these yet. The last tarot deck I'm going to talk about for this month was the How to Deal Tarot, which is formerly known as the Circo Tarot, that came from Urban Outfitters. I had this deck on my wish list for a while. It's packaged very similar to the Wild Unknown with the big box and the little box and the book. But I couldn't get it from the website anymore, and I had no idea why. And apparently this is why. The cardstock is really nice. It's very matte. It's not shiny like the original one was, and it bends pretty nice. I like the deck. I like the cards. I got some really nice readings from these cards. I love that Knight of Cups. Some of the cards didn't resonate with me as well as some of the others. I think I need to work with this one a little bit longer before I'm sure whether or not I'm going to actually keep it, or this one might end up in the to-go pile. I have so many other decks that I love more that I might use this one for another, month or so and then put it in the to-go pile. I really do love the bold colors and the sort of simplistic design, but like this one in particular, this is the Seven of Wands. I'm not exactly getting the traditional meaning of the Seven of Wands out of that, which is fine. I don't need to get the traditional meaning. If every card in every deck meant the exact same thing, I wouldn't need so many decks. But at the same time, on its own, in the context of a reading, it might make more sense, but kind of on its own as a single card pull. What am I balancing, trying not to fall in? What's with the outfit? And sometimes, there are decks where I want to delve into the cards and do that work and figure out what it means for me. And sometimes, I just look at a deck and it's like, I just don't love it enough to do that much work. So this one I'm still on the fence about. We'll see. I really do love that Three of Pentacles. And I did use a picture of this Ace of Pentacles as the little thumbnail for the Divinations Challenge account on Instagram. I love these little ghosts as judgment. It just makes me giggle. The thing I was really disappointed in with this deck set was the book. The book is from a very fortune teller perspective and really rather immature in the way it approaches the meanings of the cards, which is just not where I am right now. Here you go. Ugh, great. You're not the best at making decisions. Well, I don't really think the book should be telling me that I'm not the best at making decisions. It might want to tell me you might be having a tough time making a decision, but not that I'm not the best at making decisions. That's the kind of stuff in the book that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So we'll see. I've only got 2 oracle decks to talk about this month, and the first one is the Guidance Oracle. Did I say that right? Goddess Guidance Oracle cards, the Doreen Virtue deck. I found it on Amazon for like $10, and I'd always been curious about it. I have several goddess decks, but there's some goddesses in this deck that I don't have in other decks, and I just thought I'd give it a try for $10. And I'm not in love with this deck. First of all, Guinevere is not a goddess. Some of these people are goddesses that I haven't heard of, but Guinevere is not a goddess. She is a fictional character based on a myth. The messages that go with them tend to be a little, I don't know. Some of them are really good, and some of them are just not. Here's another one. She's not a goddess. But I like the message. I really do like the message. This one, you know, there's no need to worry as everything is working out beautifully. That seems a little bit fortune tellery and a little bit like a Chinese, you know, fortune cookie. I prefer on my oracle cards in particular, I really prefer advice rather than something that's going to tell me that things are going to be okay or that this is what's going to happen. Here's another one. You know, I love this goddess. Important doors are opening for you right now. Walk through them. So I don't know. It wasn't expensive. Yeah, spend some time near water, such as a lake, river, or the ocean to recharge your batteries. Well, that's fine and dandy if you have access to a body of water. I'm going to go sit next to the sink and let it fill up with water. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being contrary or argumentative. I get that way sometimes. So I don't know about keeping this one. I don't know about getting rid of it either. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. The last deck I'm going to talk about is the Oracle of the Ancient Celts, created and illustrated by Maxine Miller and written by Raven Grimassi and Stephanie Taylor. I saw this one posted on Instagram, and I thought it looked really interesting. And it was a way to, you know, honor the passing of Raven Grimassi. It's a small deck. It's like 25 cards. I really do wish these cards were bigger because the artwork is gorgeous, but it's very detailed, so it's kind of hard to see. And it is Celtic deities and Celtic religious, Celtic pagan concepts. So you have things like the triple goddess. You've got, let me see, I can't even really read that. What does it say? Dagda. I've read the little book, but, you know, I just can't absorb every single thing I read and remember every single bit of it. So here you have a dragon, king of Dalriada. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Brigid, ravens, Stone of Destiny, which I actually knew what that was. That's that Scottish stone. And I remember seeing a documentary about how I think it was in the 50s, some men sneaked into where it was. I think it was in Westminster Abbey, wasn't it? And they stole it and they took it back to Scotland. I loved it. Danu. Magical animals. Epona. Green Man. See, look at that Green Man card. It's gorgeous. I really wish it was bigger. Oak and Holly Kings. Lou. Manon. Etc. And it does have suits in this little teeny deck. It does actually have suits. The suits kind of bug me because we have Leaf. Then we move on to Stars. Then we have Sky, Fire, and Stone. So we have no real water element represented here in the suits. And considering we have the other elements, I would have really loved to have seen some sort of a water element included in these cards. But they're really interesting, and I've enjoyed working with them, and I'm going to keep these for a while. They have gorgeous silvered edges. And these are the backs. So it's really, I thought it might be an entryway into learning about some Celtic mythology. This little book won't do it. It doesn't really give me enough to learn. So if I want to learn some more about Celtic mythology, I will have to find another book. And one other new item that I have been absolutely loving this month is this huge piece of fluorite that I got. Sometimes you just get lucky on eBay and you find somebody selling something and they don't really realize that to a witchy person that would be worth a whole lot more. I have been looking for a natural piece of fluorite, you know, with the cubic edges for ages, and they were all $40 and $50 and $60. I think I paid $25 for this one, and you can see it's huge. It weighs like 1.5 pounds. And it's all purple on the top, but has this lovely yellow on the sides and sits really nicely on my table and has this sort of, I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, but particularly when some candlelight hits it, like right over there, it has this, no, that's just a white spot, sorry. It has this amazing sort of glow that comes out of it when candlelight hits it or something like that. So yeah, I've been absolutely loving this piece of fluorite. A couple of things that I'm going to work with, I'm going to do my best to work with in June. This Queen of the Moon Oracle, I really hate the artwork on this, but I saw somebody do a walkthrough of it, and it has a card for every single day in the lunar cycle. We have a dark moon coming up tomorrow, so I'm going to start and I'm going to try to work through all of these cards one day at a time as we go through the cycle for an entire moon cycle. Because, you know, I'm a sun girl. I love the sun. I want books on sun magic. There's one. Dorothy Morrison's book on sun magic. There's another one coming out in a month or so. But I want stuff about the sun, but I can't find it. So I'm going to try and connect with the moon some more this month, since there's so much more about the moon than there is about the sun. And I'm going to try to use this deck to help me do that. I also picked up a copy of The Norse Tarot by Clive Barrett from his Etsy shop. And you can see I've still got it in order because I haven't started working with it yet. And I intend to work with that some this month as well and learn a little bit of Norse mythology too. And then this oracle deck. This is really funny. I love this oracle deck. The answer is simple. And it is just so well balanced. The artwork is kind of but the messages are so fabulous. And I thought I'd lost it. I hadn't seen it in probably a year. And a couple of weeks ago, I found it under the sink in the bathroom. So I'm going to use it this month. I also picked up these Magic Making, Manifesting Your Dreams, these cards. These are fabulous little cards, and they are so good for doing little spells and stuff. I love them. So that's what I have for this month. Thank you so much for watching. I think we'll close out now with a little bit of a sunrise on the beach.